Have you ever done an FTP test? Oh my god. Or are you curious how it works? Well, today we are doing our first FTP Ramp test on the channel together. But first of all, what is an FTP test? Well, there's two different versions of the FTP test. There's the 20-minute FTP test, where you sort of ramp up, do a couple of sprints in the beginning, then you have a little cool down phase, and then you have a 20-minute FTP test where you go all out for 20 minutes. So you really try to empty the tank within 20 minutes of that test. And there's another test that is called the Ramp test. That is a test that goes up in 1-minute increments of 20 watts. This is the case for Zwift, which we are going to use for the test today. And in the test, you basically go on forever until you cannot hold your certain watt limit for the whole minute duration and you have to give up. So both tests are certainly valid, but I've never done a ramp test. So I want to do it with you on camera to, sort of document the journey. So without further ado, let's jump into the Zwift setup.
All right. Let's get on the bike. Everything is plugged in and ready to go. And today we are doing the test with Zwift. So we go to workouts, then we go to very difficult. And if you want to do the ramp test, you have to go pretty much all the way to the bottom. Here we go, FTP Ramp test. That is the one that we are going to use. There's the FTP Ramp test Light Edition. That is for lighter riders, so people that are below, I think, 60 kilograms or so. And with that, we are going to start right. Then you can choose your route. Let's take Richmond. So there's 5 minutes of free riding. So 5 minutes of just warming up. And after these 5 minutes, we have 1 minute increments of a specific wattage that we have to hit. And as the name Ramp test suggests, we are ramping up the watts from minute to minute in 20 watt increments. This is also something I have never done before. I have done some other FTP tests in the past, but I have never done a ramp test. This is going to be an interesting experience. In case you're wondering why there's a blank white screen in front of me, that is basically just today for filming, because it evens out the dark room, because I really like to do my FTP tests in a bit of a darker room, so the focus is just on the screen in front of me, on the wattage that I have to hit. We are starting off really easy, just some free riding. You can choose how hard you want to go. In this case, I might go a little bit harder, which you can do by going into the menu and then increasing the hardness bar. That should be fine for some warm-ups. If you have never done an FTP test, really, you should have definitely a towel. That is really important, as well as some water. Maybe not for during the test, but water definitely helps shortly before starting the ramp test and also when you finish. So that is really handy. And what I like to do is I usually ride with music. So with headphones, which I'm also going to use in a bit. With these 3 items, we should be properly set. I have not done any FTP tests in a long time, so I really don't know where I'm at the moment, but I'm really eager to find out. Even though it's probably going to be really difficult, that is what these tests are very notorious for. And if you're interested in any of the cycling clothing I'm wearing, they are from a brand called Zirocco. And in the description, I have a 10% discount code for you, which is a way for you to support the channel if you like to and if you need some cycling clothing. These kind of tests, though, are pretty notorious for starting out pretty easy. So in the first 5 to 10 minutes, you think, oh, no challenge whatsoever. And then it starts to hit you like a truck. So let's see how it's going to go today. And now we are starting the proper test protocol. It is time to get serious. Therefore, I will take my headphones now, listen to some drum and bass, and then, I will chime in here and there on how I'm feeling during the test. Time for some focus. In terms of cadence, I usually stay around the 90 mark. That is usually where I feel most comfortable. But I think in the end, if the watts are increasing by a lot, I usually go up to 95, maybe even 100. Let's see. Okay, now it starts to get really warm in here. In just a moment, I'm sure I'm going to be sweating profusely. All right, now we are 14 minutes in and it starts to get a little bit more stingy. But we keep pushing. My previous FTP test, my previous personal best was 283, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can cook that. Now it really starts to sting. Oh my God. 301. Oh my God. I really need some water now. And some fresh air probably also helps. Don't forget to just keep loosening the legs. Cool down is equally as important. I cannot say I'm unhappy. Let's just keep pedaling slowly but surely in order to loosen the stiffness of our legs. Let me just finish this little cool down section here, and afterwards I'll get back to you guys. So see you in a bit. All right, now I should really take a shower, and afterwards we should talk about how the test went and what you should be looking out for. So.
Alright, now that we are fresh again, let's talk about how the test actually went. So to me, this was the first ramp-up test, as I said. I did a couple of other FTP tests, the usual 20-minute FTP tests, and I have to say I really like the ramp test more. The ramp test really makes sure that you use all of your energy on the test and really get the best score, because if you don't pace yourself in the 20-minute FTP test, sometimes you can be left with too much energy or too little energy. So I think the ramp test for me is the most efficient one. The final watt score of the test was 301 watts, which at my current weight of 69.5 kilos puts me firmly in the 4.33 watts per kilogram range, which is not bad at all. I was thinking it would be a little bit worse, but yeah, I'm really happy about that. If you want to do the test yourself, be aware it is not uncommon for you to be a little bit sick at the end of the test. I certainly felt so as well. So a little bit of the rumbling of the stomach and feeling a little bit of an itchy feeling in your throat, let's call it that. So yeah, be aware of that. But I think it's a really great way to test your abilities, and also a really great way to keep score of how you progress in your fitness journey. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you've gotten anything out of the video, and if you did, please consider liking or subscribing. And in any case, have a great week. Bye bye.